Dozens charged make questionable claims regarding encounters with police in the Capitol riots. This is according to Fox 11. This is an AP story. Joshua Matthew Black said in a YouTube video that he was protecting the officer at the U.S. Capitol who had been pepper sprayed and fallen to the ground as the crowd rushed the building on January 6th. But federal prosecutors say surveillance footage doesn't back up Black's account. They said he acknowledged that he wanted to get the officer out of the way because the cop was blocking his path inside. At least a dozen of the 400 people charged so far in the January 6th insurrection have made dubious claims about their encounters with officers at the Capitol. Because of course they have. They all think they're patriots doing their goddamn duty. The most frequent argument is that they can't be guilty of anything because police stood by and welcomed them inside, even though the mob pushed past police barriers, sprayed chemical irritants, and smashed windows as chaos enveloped the government complex. They say they couldn't do anything wrong because the cops let them in. The January melee to stop the certification of Joe Biden's victory was instigated by a mob of supporters of then-President Donald Trump who have professed their love of law enforcement and derided the mass police overhaul protests that shook the nation last year following the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. But they quickly turned on police in one violent encounter after another. Because of course they did. They have no principles. It's not so much that I actually think right-wingers are morons, though a lot of them are fucking morons. It's that they hold inconsistent positions in order to uphold a social hierarchy. The Capitol Police didn't plan for a riot. They were badly outnumbered, and it took hours for reinforcements to arrive. A massive failure that is now under investigation, as it should be. Because I am almost positive that there were a lot of people in the federal government that stopped their response. Throughout the insurrection, police officers were injured, mocked, ridiculed, and threatened. One Capitol Police officer, Brian Sicknick, died after the riot. Officers who spoke to the Associated Press said police had to decide on their own how to fight them off. There was no direction or plan, and they were told not to fire on the crowd. They were told not to fire on the crowd. That's why was it a Capitol Police officer that killed Ashley Babbitt, or was it like a member of Secret Service? Because Pence was in there in the chamber. I'm sure he'd been whisked away by that time. Inconsistent positions. But all these people, they think they did nothing wrong. Three officers were able to handcuff one rioter, but a crowd swarmed the group and took the arrested man away with the handcuffs still on. Still, while all handcuffs have like the same key. Still, some rioters, I'm sure, there was a lot of fucking cops in the crowd. I'm sure they got the handcuffs off awfully easily. Still, some rioters claim police just gave up and told them that the building was now theirs, and a few, including one accused of trying to pull off an officer's gas mask in a bid to expose the officer to bear spray, have claimed to be protecting police. So last week we got the ruling on Donald Trump's Facebook account, where the oversight board kicked the can back down to Facebook. The official ruling from the oversight board was that it's okay to ban him, you just can't do it indefinitely. You need to tell him what the rules of the ban are, what the duration are, and it needs to be applied fairly across the board. That was the oversight board's decision. Facebook had this oversight board in order to kick the can down to them. Be like, we don't want to make these decisions. So let's see what one of the co-chairs of the Facebook oversight board told Chris Wallace over the weekend.
Why did you decide to enforce the ban or to continue the ban during that period rather than to lift it?
Well, Chris, on January 6th, President Trump issued those statements as a mob was rampaging through the Capitol, as members of Congress were cowering in fear, as the rioters were threatening Vice President Pence's life. And at that time, he issued these statements, which were just egging on.
That's fucking scary. Look at that image of fucking Trump's eyes in front of those. That's as fascist as it gets.
Egging on, with perfunctory
that imagery,
asking for peace, but mostly he was just egging them on to continue. This was a plain violation of Facebook's rules against praising dangerous individuals and organizations at a time of violence. So Mr. Trump is subject to the same rules on Facebook as everyone else, and the Oversight Board held that this was in fact a violation, and thus Facebook was justified in taking them down. What we did say, though, was that they were not justified in taking them down indefinitely, that they did not provide any reasons for that, that is not a provision in their rules. That was wrong, and we gave them a certain amount of time to get their house in order. They needed some time because their rules are a shambles. They are not transparent. They are unclear. They are internally inconsistent. So we made a series of recommendations about how to make their rules clearer and more consistent. And the hope.
I mean, because it's not about the user experience. It's about mining fucking people's data and selling it to advertisers. They don't give a shit about the functionality for the user.
Hope is that they will use the next few months to do that, and then when they come back and look at this, they'll be able to apply those rules in a straightforward way.
So there you have it. At least he admits, Donald Trump did indeed. He incited a riot. Another person who actually admits it, Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger, who we're going to hear from here. We're gonna have... If you printed Kinzinger, one of the representatives to vote for impeachment, very vocal about the current split that is going on in the Republican Party. Here in a second, we're going to hear from Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, also a vocal critic of Donald Trump. These are the last gasps of the not Trump cult in the party.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger again slamming his party as it moves closer to ousting Congresswoman Liz Cheney from House leadership in just a couple of days. This is what the congressman from Illinois said a few minutes ago at the National Press Club event.
This is lies versus truth. This is the election was stolen, and therefore a third of America believes that democracy fails, and that leads to violence, by the way, long term, versus the truth. It's amazing how many of my colleagues claim to likewise be Christians, but somehow are okay with like just accepting and supporting these lies.
It's almost like they hold inconsistent beliefs.
Tell the truth.
Again, Adam Kinzinger just a few moments ago at a pre-planned event at the National Press Club. That vote on Congresswoman Liz Cheney's future is expected on Wednesday, and she is not expected to keep her post.
Yeah, she is expected to lose that vote that will be going forward this week. Here's Governor Larry Hogan calling the GOP a circular firing squad.
At the NGA, RGA apparatus, but most of the leadership doesn't seem to pin this on him. Again, you sort of, the record is the record. Why do you think they don't want to pin it on him?
Well, I think they're concerned about retaliation from the president. They're concerned about being attacked within the party, and it just bothers me that you have to swear fealty to the dear leader, or you get kicked out of the party. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, to me, the most.
I mean, he says that, but that's where the party has been going, like, straight on a path to totalitarianism for like 40 fucking years now.
Damning part of this. Liz Cheney voted for President Trump's singular legislative achievement. And what many Republicans tell me is very important to protecting. The person that they're replacing her with voted against it. I mean, is the party now what you just said? If you're not with Trump...
Inconsistent beliefs.
Well, it's sort of a circular firing squad where we're just attacking members of our own party instead of focusing on
I'm here for it.
Or standing up and having an argument that we can debate the Democrats
Sipping
on
tea.
the things that the Biden administration is pushing through.
I love it. I'm here for you and your party's circular firing squad, as you put it.